I'm gonna move my. Yep, I'm ready. You can go. I'll turn around and pointing at you. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you?
Hello. So we're about to start. Thank you everybody for coming today, for making the time on a Wednesday afternoon to actually come and listen to more about our plans. We know there are some people returning to continue our conversation, and there are also new people. So welcome. We're very, very happy to have all of you here. Today we are having our second open discussion on our experimental education plans for Taiwan. Of course, our education committee is comprised of Mr. Tim Chen and Ms. Alice Ho here, who will be taking over this presentation from here on. We will be sharing our plans. Again, this plan is with the mission of finding better ways of trying to offer an alternative path for local Taiwanese and also international students to find better opportunities actually to work overseas, work abroad, and increase a kind of talent circulation flow by better preparing people with international knowledge or international expertise and vice versa. So I'm totally butchering this introduction, to be honest, but I will actually turn it over to the folks who are going to be presenting. Tim, would you like to take over?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Yeah.
It's lagging.
It's lagging, yeah, but you can hear it. Okay, so right, so good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the to this section. I will start immediately. So and we have a couple people joining us online. So if you are have any question online, please feel free to type in on the chat room, and my colleague Alice will be here to feed me the questions as well. So right, so this presentation is brought to you by myself, Tim, and I'm very honored to serve as a member of the executive board. And thank you for those who has chose me, and also those who hasn't. I will work harder, and because you don't know me yet, but we should know each other better. And then Alice, and Alice is has been very helpful in this journey, and it's a very interesting journey you're going to discover. It's going to be something that hasn't been tried before. Not hasn't been tried, but hasn't been really done before. We are going to design a university not like anything you have ever seen before. And it's going to take advantage of what Taiwan has accomplished in the past 20 years in terms of homeschooling and education, experimental education, and take it to the next step, i.e. in the higher education. So, and without further, I'm going to go through the presentation. So, a little bit about myself. I'm a homeschool dad, and there are other homeschool family members here as well, and thank you all. And I've been homeschool parent for 17 years, and in that time I've been advocating for education choice. And what that means is that we believe that children, and especially, but everyone has a right to choose any way they like to learn, whatever method that works best for them. And government should work with the people and educators, etc., and to facilitate that possibility. So what means is that homeschooling in Taiwan is legal, and from grade 1 to grade 12, and high school homeschooler get paid, and as a tuition subsidies for $2,300 US a year to do anything you want. And so, and also you get official recognition, you get a diploma which is recognized by the state, and you can carry on studying in the future. So we like to take that model and to bring it to higher education. And how do we do that? We see the challenge in Taiwan. There are twofold in higher education. Of course, there are many challenges, but two in particular. One is the lack of relevance between what people are studying and what they end up doing or what their passions are. This is largely because people end up studying whatever they are studying because of their grades in the exam, not because of their passion and interest, and among other things. And also there's a hierarchy of subjects. Parents would like the children to pursue, and we see that's a problem in the longer term. And we need diverse talent, like all of you sitting in this room. You are possessed with very different talent. And we shouldn't be so homogeneous, and we want to challenge that. And second is the limits overseas mobility, and that's part of it due to this year, of course, it's largely due to the COVID-19 pandemic travel restriction. But even before that, study abroad is still very limited to the people, families who can afford to do it, and also and families who are comfortable enough to send their kids overseas. However, that shouldn't limit everyone else who to pursue ambition or career beyond Taiwan borders. We want to make everyone in Taiwan and feel comfortable to be able to operate in this world, and to have ambition, to have a view, to see the world is their stage. So we want to make that possible, and that kind of ambition also coincide with the Taiwan government's 2030 bilingual nation, so that to make Taiwan more plugging to the international sphere. So what is happening right now in Taiwan? Taiwan doesn't lack higher education. We have plenty of them in Taiwan. You can find universities in 22 cities here in Taiwan. So almost every single county in Taiwan has a university, whether you're in Nantou, Taidong, Jingmen. The only one you don't have is Mazu, I think, and you don't have a university. But even Jingmen, you have a university. And also there are 140 higher education institutions. So it's quite a lot of them, and there are 1.4 million students studying in higher education in Taiwan. Interesting enough, that number is bigger than the number of students who are studying primary. That's due to the population decline in Taiwan. So this year, only 1.2 million students are in primary education between grade 1 and 6. But we have 1.4 million people who are in the higher education. So it's a very interesting place that we have more college kids than primary school kids in the world, that's unique to Taiwan. So yes, there's no shortage of higher education. So we are doing this not because somebody needs a place to go, but because we want to do something that no one has ever done before. And so what are we proposing? There are 4 things. One is that we want to bring international resources to Taiwan. So which means is that Crossroads right now work closely with many international organization institutions. Some of you may be familiar with our effort with the University of Haifa, which we've done 2 conference distance seminars, and featuring Tang Feng and others, as well as professors and deans from University of Haifa. And also we are in the process of working with the founder, one of the co-founder of Singularity University, and also we have worked with Stanford. We're in the process of working with Stanford and many other universities which may be coming, and as well as not-for-profit organization, i.e. Human Rights Foundation, and also others. So those are the international resources we want to bring in to be part of the learning process. From now on, I'm going to use the word learning experience rather than curriculum, courses, those kind of things you are familiar with higher education. And second is what every university in Taiwan say they are doing, but probably not to the extent that they are doing as much as they would like to, is the individualized curriculum. This is something that almost everyone talks about, with the exception of one university, Tsinghua University in Taiwan, which has a program called experimental education. Not very original name, but ours is also not very original. And that all the experimental universities in Taiwan have limited individualized courses. So what that means is that you go to university in Taiwan, you are required to take at least 128 credit hours before you can graduate in 4 years, between 4 to 6 years. And but out of those, 32 will be required almost by the Ministry of Education or by the university. Another 60 will be required by the department. And then another 30 will be kind of elective but required. That's some kind of interesting in Taiwan. You have a required elective, whatever that means. And then you can probably pick and choose another 20, also 10 of whatever you want to choose. But all of them are offered by the university or by the department. And you cannot just design your own curriculum. Like, hey, I want to learn something which is not in the university curriculum, and can I do this and be recognized as part of my education? We want to do that. We want to let learners come in and say, I came with a proposal, just like those of you who come with a go-kart. You came with an idea, you want to do something to make a difference in Taiwan, and then you don't come here just to expecting something to hand to you, but you want to make a difference. So we want the learner to come in and then be proactive, to lean forward, to say, this is what we want to do with, this is what I want to do with my education, and this is what I want to learn in Taiwan. So, and then we have the, so that's individualized, and we are talking about serious individualized. Like we have no elective, we have no even department, we have no colleges. We just have one school, and you can come in with any idea that you want to learn, and then we'll think about how we can do it, make it possible. And we want to build a mentor system. Mentor is something that is talked a lot in Taiwan University, especially this year because of the high-profile incidents of young students who took their own life, and due to various reasons. So a lot of people are saying that we need a better mentoring and a better way to help them. And I'll talk about it later in more detail, but we see there are multiple tiers of approaching this issue, and then we want to leverage the diverse talent pool in among our Crossroads members and outside international community, and to make our students and our learners much broader and stand at a much higher position than they are today. And also accredited degree, because that's important. You can do all of this without getting a accredited degree. Nobody's going to stop you. But having a accredited degree allow you to move on to the next level if you want to pursue it, academic professional. Accredited degree is important. In Taiwan, it's still quite looked upon with, at least for the first job, that you need some sort of, higher education degree. So our aim is to get our degree accredited by the Ministry of Education, which is doable because of the law, special education law, which I helped to craft, and to allow ideas like this, many very forward-looking ideas to be possible and to be accredited as well. So our learning will be sitting like above the senior high school, senior secondary high school, and then there will be 3 possible degree we can offer: associate degree, which is normally 2-year program, and then 4-year college degree with a bachelor degree, and then of course a master's degree. And at the first instance, we're probably going to look at offering associate degree, since there are fewer people doing it now. It used to be quite a lot of associate degree in Taiwan, but not anymore. Everybody wants a 4-year degree, but we see some advantage in doing associate degree, so that's where we may start offering first. And we see how we organize it is that students coming, learners comes in, and we'll try to move them towards a state which I call Hutagoji state, whereby it means that the students are self-determined to learn. They don't need much of the institutional instruction and from the teachers, but they themselves have to be very mature. So at the moment, most students in Taiwan, whether they are in the primary or secondary or high school, they are pretty much at the pedagogy stage, whereby they are in stage 1. They require, they are what I call immature student, and they learn by following instruction and directions. And teachers have to give very specific, and those students do well in the institution, whereby you have a clear goal and clear roadmap, and they do very, very well. They follow the rules, and they learn through the process. But and then you move on to the higher up, where you have the anthropogy. Those are the adult education, whereby we as adults, we tend to learn at our pace. So we sometimes learn faster, some we learn slower. We get to choose to do that. but we still follow certain guidelines and also curriculum. But and then we require less supervision. We take our own responsibility. We learn as we move forward. And then you have the pedagogy, whereby the students are very mature, very independent. They want to design their own course. They want to plan out everything themselves. But also on the other side, the institution has to be very flexible and willing to make a lot of changes and listen to the students and work with them. And so you need to have a right match with the students, their learning style and their maturity. It's no point to throw somebody who's not ready and give them a lot of degree of freedom because they're just going to get lost in there, or putting somebody who is full of passion and imagination into structured courses, and they're just going to feel miserable. And then they can learn through courses, which will be either online or offline. And the online ones there are many MOOCs out there, massive open online courses. And like we're talking to Stanford about their alternative credentials. And those are the things that you can learn. And also there are offline on-site courses offered in Taiwan in different universities or different institutions, different credentials. And we are in the process of talking to many of them, and we work on suggestions where you think somebody is offering a fantastic course that is very good for whatever purpose they want to do. Another one is projects. Projects are very important, and we want students to design, initiate design, and discuss what the project they want to do, and then we'll work with them to find the best resource to help them to finish the project. And of course, the internship. Everybody is doing internship. We see our advantage is in the fact that we work with some government agencies, whether it's NDC, National Development Council, or AIT. And through them, we have industry contact, and we want to make sure that our learners get the first consideration when it comes to internship process as well. And we appreciate that they will come in with a very different, unique skill and ability to do that. So a little bit about student support. So the way I see it is a three-tier process. And I see that first is the coaches. And coaches are what some university colleges would call counselors. So I see them as coaches because I want them to work alongside with the students. They're not going to do things for the student. The student need to do the heavy lifting themselves. But the coaches are there to help. So they are professional. They understand learners at this stage have to face whether it's relational, academic, or professional career life, all sort of different changes. They need to understand that and give them, provide them with the professional support and guide them and throughout the whole system. So students may be able to design their own curriculum, but they still need people to help them to execute and process it if they've never done this before, and it can be challenging. So coaches are the first line of support they will get. And then we have buddies. And buddies are mature individuals who are not professional coaches, but who have life experience in different fields. So we try to pair the buddies with our learners based on their interests or background or their future career plan, and team them up with the buddies. And buddies will be, we imagine the buddies will be our Crossroads members and others from international community who like to contribute and make make a difference, pay forward. And so those buddies will be somebody the student can talk to whenever they get to an issue or not. Maybe just going out for a hike, or just go to just have a beer or wine or over a meal. It can be anything, just a buddy. There's no, because buddy are there to review you. The coaches are part of the school academic or administration process, but buddies are not there. They are not going to judge you. You can talk to them about anything. And then with gurus, and gurus are people who have a lot of experience and who are in a position to actually bring resources. So our Crossroads board members are full of gurus, I said myself. So, and then they can be of very good use, very good. They're here to let the students tap in as a resource. And so if the student have some idea they want to make it happen, but they don't have the resource, they don't know where to get help. Guru is the one who they can present as a first idea, and to get critique or to get support, or both. Okay, so then a little bit about alternative credential I mentioned earlier on. Alternative credentials, at the moment we see that other than Stanford, Singularity, Haifa I mentioned, of course there are Coursera courses we'll talk about. We're still in the process of thinking, and we see that they accumulate different courses and alternative credentials towards their associate degree. And then once they got that, they can choose to leave experimental university and go to do whatever the next stage they want to do, or they want to pursue a career in academia, and then they can go and finish a bachelor degree here, continue using alternative credentials and others, or move on to a different university, more traditional university, whereby there are more structured, academic-oriented courses available. They can finish that, and then move on to the master's degree. And that's how we see the alternative credentials will play out. So each student will have different learning process, learning path, and each of them will accumulate different alternative credentials based on what their interests are. And so every student leaving XU will have a very different portfolio, even though they all carry the same diploma, say XU, bachelor or XU associate. But all of them will be different, and it will not just simply be Bachelor of Arts or Science. I mean, the world is so much different. You cannot just have a binary choice between the two. And how do we graduate those people? And that's a question we get to ask a lot. So you have people who come in and learn very different things. How do you know if they are worthy a degree? Right. So the way I see it is a couple ways to graduate from here. One is to get a job, and that is above and beyond what they could have got if they came in without going through us. So somebody who come and then went through a study, collecting all sorts of alternative credential, internship, etc., project, and then they take that and to get tested in the real world by by industry, and somebody want to offer them a job, and then that is clearly they wouldn't have got that without experience here. And then we say, oh, congratulations, you can graduate because, move on to your next life. And, or they get admitted to a higher study. So if they got to a, university doing a master's program, not at XU or doing a career, doing an academic bachelor program or something like that. And we think that's fine. They found their next life. They want to continue doing it. We bless them with the diploma, or they started a successful sustainable business, which is most likely going to be a lot of people choose this route. They come in, they see opportunity, they meet their future partners, a business or otherwise at the university, and then they say, hey, I want to start a career, I want to focus dedicated to my business, I don't want to study anymore. And we think that's fine, we'll bless them and help them to move on. And then and for those of you who just cannot decide what to do with their life, and that's fine, we're here to help. And so we still have a certain number of credit hour requirements. And then once you've done that through alternative credits, alternative credentials, projects, internship, etc., you can still leave and then to decide whether you want to do something else or stay at the university and do more study if you want to. So here are the things that we think four possible ways to graduate from the experimental university. And I want to talk a little bit about why we want to do this, and not just because I get excited about creating something new and different. Is that for universities, whether it's Taiwan or elsewhere, right now there are so many courses being created available, and but the courses are not utilized as much as they can. However, through our program, there will be extra benefits to actually educate our learners as well as whatever they are doing at the moment. So for them, there are no extra costs, and then there's a lot of marginal benefit. And those benefits are actually public goods, sorry, but they may not get financial benefit. I mean, they may get paid credit hours for buying their courses, whether online or offline. But the main thing is that the knowledge gets spread and more people get benefit from it. So for university, not just us, everybody benefit from it. And for students, we think there will be a much better outcome than the traditional university, and also they will become a self-determined learner, i.e., they'll continue this. We hope they'll continue this pattern of learning and hobby of self-determined learning after they finish university. They'll continue to learn as we move towards a very dynamic world, and everybody needs to keep on learning, lifetime learning. And last but not least, is that Taiwan gets to attract global talents and resources, and we don't see this as yet another higher education in Taiwan, because Taiwan doesn't need. Students don't need. Taiwan already have enough universities, and actually there are more university students than primary school kids, as I mentioned at the beginning. So, but with this, to get people who want to try out new ideas, they want to come to Taiwan, want to live in a life that is relatively normal by historical standard. You can engage in a lot of activities, or you have a lot of new idea about education you want to try out. You can all come to XU to have a go with it. And so it's a very open. It's a very, very open. It's more like a platform than university. And our timeline is that we already started a preparatory team right now. So it's just, you're looking at the team, right? So 2 of us. And we want to gather as many input as we possibly can, and in the next few months, and then with the aim to present a proposal to the Ministry of Education. The Ministry of Education has a board they call the Experimental Education Board, which they review the proposals and then decided whether to approve or not approve. And yours truly is serving on the board, so I know what I'm talking about. And I know how sausage is made. Yes, I've been part of the grilling guy, and so it's interesting to see how putting on different hats. And then in the second half, once the experimental education plan has been approved, we'll go through the next phase, is to set up the school. So that's the point. We need to find the location. We need to get the teachers hired, etc. And cut the ribbon, so to speak. And we aim to admit our first class in September 2022. So that means in 21 months from now, basically, or 20 months if you don't count September. So yeah, it's very exciting. It's all happening at a rough speed, so to speak. Right. So what can we do next together? That's what I hope everyone here can help us. Is that we're looking for global and local academic partners. So I'm very happy that some of you are from local education institutions and global education institutions here tonight, and you can help us, give us what you think, tell us whether it's a crazy idea or not crazy enough, and so please. And also we need corporate partners. It's very important for students to expose to the real world and not just academic world. And so if you have contact in corporate industry corporates, you think that can help us, whether in terms of alternative credentials, here are the excellent courses you should do if you want to become a financial advisor. it's not available in any university or colleges, but we have this kind of thing. Well, I know some of the accounting firms, they have very good focused training programs for and it's unlike anything I've seen in academic world. So, and also student support, be part of the body, be a body or even counselor if you and coaches if you have the experience and you'd like to do it. And those are the things we need right now. And also in terms of academic partners, we are also looking for locations because the law requires us to set up a school on a land which is designated for education purpose. So, i.e., it has to be either a public or private school. It doesn't have to be a university, but just have to be a school. So, if you know there's abandoned school behind your house and look like a promising place, or the university you are serving now right now has a one floor, one building that is underutilized, and you think that's our presence will be very exciting to you, please let us know. Right, so that sums up my presentation. Thank you very much. And this is time I open up for question and hopefully with some answers. So please. Thank you.
I'd like to ask a question. I guess what is the research or the data to show that this kind of program is something that the students and parents want, given that it comes off. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah. Right.
Students, given that they have the choice of, honestly, if they're so driven, any top schools you want, or even over to university. So I guess what makes the students and ultimately the parents, given the times largely so conservative, to be able to want something like this.
Okay. I mean, there are education researchers among us today. So I'll take a first stab, and those of you who know more can help me to answer that question. So the question was, does everybody need stuff? And why would somebody want to learn and spend so much time and effort to have to design your own course, coming and then do all that things, while you can admit to a very highly recognized, established traditional university and have hundreds of years of experience, have designed their curriculum and have been tested and tried it, and just follow that. The answer is, I don't know. We don't know who they are. We don't know how many people they are out there. I know for sure my kids want it, but I only have 3 kids. So it's not enough to sustain a university. And but it's like if Steve Jobs did a product test back in 2006 rather, and then said, does anybody want a phone that has no button on it? The answer is probably no. So I think we're doing exactly that. We don't know what the demand is going to be like, but I'm sure there are demand out there. Just it's a leap of faith for me personally. Yeah.
So you talked about like mentors and online courses and various things, and then you started talking at the end about hiring teachers and having a building.
Right.
And earlier you were talking about homeschooling as the model, and so
right.
I was thinking in my mind that it was a remote learning experience, but do you view it as are students located together in the same building?
Okay.
And you didn't talk much about what the peer community is
sure.
like, and then you talked again about teachers. So what role among the mentors, coaches, and
right.
what role do teachers play?
The experimental education law for higher education still requires a physical presence. So as much as we like to have this exist only in the cloud, it cannot. So the law said that we have to have a physical location. It doesn't say what we need to do in there. It just said we need to have a physical location. So, so I imagine the courses will be taking place a lot of learning activity will be taking place online, and the physical location will be a place for people to gather and to mingle, to more like a co-working space kind of atmosphere. And so this is a place where you can this is where serendipity happens. You bump into somebody because you want to make a interview, or you want to talk to somebody, and that's where you go. And as far as the peer is concerned, at moments my vision is that it will not be just like a cohort of a student who came in this year, and because the law says that we're going to have 80 students per year. I don't imagine that. I imagine it more organic than that. I imagine it to be much more fluid. So the co-working space or the university campus will have people from outside, the mentors, the gurus and coaches. They'll be there. Everybody will be there. And then our classes, if we offer any, will be available to people outside the university as well. I don't like it to be just for those cohorts. It's because I want it to be as heterogeneous as possible. Even though we try to select as diverse as possible a bunch of people, it's still not going to be diverse enough. I want that chemistry to be much more fluid than that. Thank you.
Then how do you plan to achieve that diversity of students who are required to be a physical presence? That are
Okay.
lacking the physical interaction necessary to learn how to collaborate with each other?
Right. To start, we are going to ask the Ministry of Education to exempt us from the limits of the international students. Right now, all the universities are limited to 5% of their class, and although they are counted towards their allocation, but there's a ceiling on how many you can take. We are going to try to lift that. We're going to say, give us all 80 to admit anybody in the world who can find, who can afford to come, or who is willing to come. And so that's the step one to achieve the diversity by doing that. And having international students coming in, and I'm also thinking about living space. So earlier we talked about and how we can create that kind of experience for international students and local students to be able to live and work. And I met with Jiulou. Jiulou is a people who are very interested in converting old building into a co-living space. So they recently done a project in Wanlong, and so like between Musa and between Xinyi and Taipei, and it was a very neat place. Used to be the like retire home for veterans, and they done a beautiful job converting to a co-living space for about 100 people. So students can choose that and be able to live and work, but not just among themselves, but also among other people who choose to co-live in there. And so there are things that we can do to make it possible for them to mingle as much as they want. But again, it's out of the choice. I don't want to force them to have to live with their cohort for 4 years.
Yeah. Two-part follow-up.
Sure.
Is where the international students might come from. For example, perhaps Mongolian students might choose Taiwan because many of them see it as something to China and Japan. We're talking about comparing this to the United States, and this isn't something that we have to answer right now. We'll discuss it later. How would you compare and contrast the proposal of XU against the academic structure of the governments with East Queen's College, Babson, or Emerson College in the United States?
Yeah. Okay. Where the international student will come from, it depends on a lot of things. Depends on what eventually we can offer, and also what are the other visa restrictions or travel restrictions will be by 2022. And we realize that in some places, like you mentioned, United States, there are plenty of choices. I mean, the type of universities is very diverse, and their fees are also very wide. Our advantage vis-a-vis the U.S. universities Number one is we are cheaper. I mean, unless you count people who go to community college and then live in their home and still have an income, we're going to be cheaper than most of the universities in the United States. But whether they want to uplift themselves and move themselves all the way to Taiwan to study is quite the other question. But I'm not going to, at this point, thinking that we have to think about marketing message yet. I'm more interested in designing something that we think is workable, and then think about who would be who benefit from it. And this is the point that I need you guys' input, because you know the rest of the world much better than I do. So I'm like a little frog in the bottom of the whale looking at the sky. And so you can tell me whether this idea will fly outside Taiwan. Yes.
So to continue the conversation on the originality of this project specifically, I was wondering how you work towards achieving also socioeconomic diversity and not only diversity in terms of possible diversity.
Excellent question. Scholarship will definitely be on top of the list, and that's where our esteemed CEO's responsibility. Whether we can.
Secretary General.
Yes, Secretary General. Our SG will be able to coerce as much people to donate as possible, and no, we'll offer. Our aim is to offer need-based scholarship to people, and want to make the admission process as painless as possible, and as less dependent on standardized test results as possible. And also, I mean, I'm quite clear that this is not going to be the #1 choice for those who are in the upper socioeconomic income, because they have many choices. Like some of our colleagues mentioned earlier, they can go anywhere in the world, and brand is probably more important than anything else. Future social network is very much more important. So my aim is actually to looking at people in Taiwan who would probably got into a private university in Taiwan, and most of them are from the side of middle income or lower middle income, and the real upper income student, most of them end up in public university anyway, and they probably won't look at us and say, what the heck is this, to work so hard and after I get into university? No, I'm spending 12 years study hard, it's time to party. No, so yeah, so starting out, I see a much more diverse socioeconomic income, but I want to provide some sort of security so they can really try harder here rather than worry about their tuition and etc. Thank you.
I wanted to tack on, I'm sorry I missed that first part of the question, but what we are doing with, what our advantages with Crossroads is our connections to a lot of different research organizations, and particularly amongst foreign talents in Taiwan. A little background about, I'm sorry, in my introduction I forgot to mention our mission. Crossroads, we are an organization, a nonprofit association that is specifically driven and committed to bridging the connection between the international and local communities. In this mission, we are also an official community partner of the Town Gold Card Office. Has anyone also heard of the Gold Card Program of National Development Council? What we are concerned more about is a lot of talent, not just the Gold Card people, but also foreign talent, who are so passionate and willing and want to contribute to Taiwan. What can we do to bridge that gap? So we are tackling this on many fronts, education just being one of them. We're also working with Town Stadium to develop services to bridge the foreign community, people from the professional community, to give feedback for startups. And in doing so, we are also growing a big network of talent, of resources of this. So we are seeing how we also connect the dots between that talent pool with this talent pool, and also working with council, and they are all very focused on how do we build this talent solution? How do we create a system where it is more welcoming and students can also have more opportunities to reach overseas opportunities and vice versa? We are engaging this area right now. So we actually do have very powerful organizations attached to this, which we are hoping to leverage through our service. So if we are able to provide a pathway for local townies to really have a unique way of touching overseas opportunities, people, and talent, I think that is something we're offering that is something quite different than what is being offered here. And we aren't here to compete with any existing university. We're here to complement. We're here to work with, because we have access to resources that they might not have. So that is kind of the angle that we do. So anyways, sorry, I hope that answered some question that was asked. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
What is the background of the student coming to this university? Are they
Okay.
primarily homeschooled or are you focusing on traditional?
Well, the law requires they have to be have a high school, and so number one is that they need to finish their high school, and other than that, they can be anybody. So basically, it's open admission. We see even in the first year, 2022, September 2022, we're going to see a mix of transfer students, people who already done their first year college or drop out from first year college and then come to us because they didn't like whatever they experienced in college. Homeschooler, definitely. Also, students who went to experimental university. And the war school, members of the war school family, people travel a lot. We have a problem. We need to overcome a challenge of how they can get their learning accredited before they can be qualified to come in. I mean, if they follow a particular curriculum and have some sort of official diploma here, and and also go-kart holders' kids, if they came to Taiwan and decided to try something interesting, and then sure, yeah, more than welcome. And also people who just want to leave their home country and to adventure out east. You know, I don't think so people like that out there, but please feel free to join us. And so it will be quite diverse. I mean, we are really looking at everyone who is interested in have a go at it. Please.
Thank you for touching on this issue of transferability of courses that you may have taken elsewhere. I remember you saying that to increase the collaboration with other education institutions, and I wonder if, for example, a student was to complete a program at Coursera,
right,
and would get a paper for that.
Sure.
How that would actually then benefit the educational process in your place and end up as being part of overall credentials. And
right.
How you would establish maybe some kind of universal transfer credit system, which then requires collaboration with other institutions, or how you would actually then make the transfer and the calculation so that it equates what the Ministry of Education establishes as an official credit.
Right. So that's why we have in our graduation criteria, there are 4 different kinds, and if the student can meet either one of them, that will be sufficient. So, I mean, we can recognize equinox, basically, if we tell them that this is how we will recognize it. So having a student who have already done a course in Coursera and succeeded and with a certification will help us a lot to understand that whether he or she later can continue that with our program, and also whether we're going to this is something they call prior recognition. So you recognize something you have done before you come to our courses. We will design a prior recognition into our program as well, and we'll see how much we can recognize that, because a lot of our graduation requirement, i.e. the first 3, has nothing to do with how many credit hours you take. So, you know, as long as you can prove that you are ready to move on, then you can leave without blessing.
So also to answer your question, because normally a student will talk to the coaches and also the professional mentors. So there will be, you will know the student's study plan very. We will have a way to calculate how many hours you have to work on the project, or be also a way to help us to calculate the credits as well.
I'm seeing this as a future employer at an IT company, and I have a bunch of applications on my desk, and one comes from NGU, and there's a clear overview of right numbers and credits, etc. It doesn't mean that this person knows much, but you can document certain right, and I think that's the different emphasis that you're putting on. It's really much about learning and growth, while this is about paper. But if I'm a future employee and I have these two candidates in front of me, how would I be able to have the confidence that this person not only knows how to educate more herself and be really good at learning, but also fulfill the criteria that I might want to justify the employment and not by the other person equally
qualified, but not
qualified, and that's discrimination.
Exactly.
These are the things that go through the mind of a future employer.
Right. That's why corporate partners are very important to succeed for us. We need a corporate partner who are enlightened enough to look beyond just the traditional curriculums and the degrees and transcripts. And also, in certain industry, it may be easier than the other. Interesting enough, you mentioned IT. And for example, Google Career Certificate, which Google brought out this year, 6 months course on Coursera, $49 a month. I think before the end of the year, there's even special discount for COVID, whatever. And then, anyway, it's very, very cheap. So once you've done that, you pass, you got the certificate, and then Google will hire you as if you have a 4-year degree. 6 months Google certificate versus a 4-year college degree. They will hire you, and then they say that based on the people who have done this, because it's an ongoing course already. They've been doing on Coursera for a long time. 60% of the people who are taking the Google Career Certificate do not have a 4-year degree college. There are people who never finish 4-year degree college, and the starting salary for finish is sorry, not starting salary. The median salary for people who finish the program is $56,000 per year. So and that's what we're looking at. If it's certain industry like IT, there are things like that available, like Google certificates. We'll tell the students, to take that as one of your authentic credentials, and then to get an internship at the place that you, not necessarily at the place that you will end up working, but at the same industry or the similar environment, whereby you can demonstrate that you have the ability to succeed once you get in there, and that becomes a burden. Right. So 1, 2, 3, because they haven't asked. I'll let them ask first. I'll come back to you. So do you want to ask a question or? Okay, later. Yeah. So we'll start with this table first. So you first, and then you asked already. So I'll get Camilla to answer that. Yeah. Okay. So go away.
I just want to add something to this.
Sure.
Question. I just what you asked is really interesting because I just yesterday. I'm right now in a program teaching I think Taiwan is going to change in the next 5-10 years. It needs a while, but the government, at least Taipei City Education Department, they started a program. It just started at the end of this year, from November. They started a program for not college students, but elementary school students to experience different types of works, including IT, including something like magic. Like the program is really diverse. They have a magician teacher, and they have an IT teacher. They do have a startup teacher who's focusing on sensor or something. I didn't go to this class, but it's all good. So it's quite diverse. And the reason why they want to try this, so they're implementing first year tryout program. I'm teaching at one artist, and I thought it was really interesting. Ask them why the government has such an idea. And say, well, because in the future the career and university are slowly deconstructing to another form. They also don't know what form it will be. I don't think anybody knows. but they just want to start. Because at first I thought it was a joke. I even argued with them like kids should play, kids should know anything about money, whatever.
Oh.
And then I saw
Kids know
kids
money.
need to know.
Kids
and,
know
then,
money.
and then I saw what they were the curriculum, and I thought it was really smart because they are already in elementary school or program start to explore these different in a very fun way, different career options by bringing different area of teachers that have been this area to create some kind of curriculum that can have an experience, not just the fun of it, but also what's interesting. What I think it was not in the education system, at least the traditional system before, the kind of difficulties and challenges. It's quite open and honest. That's so I thought it was interesting. There was although it's not at the college level, but to explore them, explore this thing from a kid. But they only start at last year of the elementary school, so they're old enough. Then it goes up. So I think in the future, just also response in the future when it goes to university, I think it's a good move. Normally, I think, yeah.
So thank you for sharing your thought. I just want to make sure I understand clearly that you don't have a question for me, right?
I don't have a question.
Good. I don't want to like, right.
Today,
Okay.
today's teams from Burn, teams today.
Okay, no
No,
problem.
no.
Just want to make sure that
I
I
just
didn't
thought
miss
about
anything.
this. I just thought about this.
Thank you for sharing.
And
Yeah.
I think what they were trying what they were trying to do is to build slow learn the system systematically and to build up something where they have more choices to maybe not, for example, after you graduate from the high school, you don't have to go to, for example, college. If that's not what you want, you might go to vocational school or special training because some of the things, for example, my subjects, all my teachers have no college degree. For example, they want to expose these facts to them, like, hey, you have more choice after high school.
Thank you. Camila?
Just, I guess from the international college perspective, like when I first came to Taiwan, and I would say 80% of my classmates were international students, and then we had like 20% of them were Taiwanese. And then we just didn't mix, right? Like the English level was not up there, and sometimes we kind of felt frustrated, like, oh my god, their scores are as high as ours, their presentation is terrible, right? Like, so when you're talking about this, like how are you planning like the classes to be like, and how do you like match your classmates or by age, by background, by what? Because like from Minchuan, like it's the most international college in Taiwan. We know, like, at least I know that 90% of my students are not happy, right? Because the same professors that have been teaching there have been teaching there for 20 years. And they're teaching the same thing that they were teaching 20 years ago. So we're like, no, this just does not match, right? And it's the same thing of like, oh my god, like 30% of your score is attendance, right? And you're just sitting there not learning anything, and you're like, okay, I need to be here because otherwise my score's gonna go down.
Right.
So from the international college perspective, how will that work?
Minchuan is the first, probably not the only accredited university in Taiwan by a first in Asia by an American accreditation agency. So I'm not going to speak ill about them. I'm way too polite to do that.
Okay,
No, that's fine. It's fine. It's on the record. Everything I say is on the record. You know, I do serve on the board, so I need to be careful. No, it's a great question. It will be different. First of all, the structured knowledge, i.e., those who came from whether it's MOOC or Coursera or somewhere else, will be given by a brand university, will be given by the leading provider of this Stanford or somewhere else.
Jim, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to build Camille's point is that these students are not ready for Coursera MOOC. They're not at the level where they can accept that instruction, whether or not it's on their own timetable or not yet. This is more what they're learning in MOOC is more akin to a shortened version of what you course here. And so some of the issues that, at least that I see on the undergraduate side, is that people are getting a watered down version of skills that they need that they might otherwise get from universities outside of Taiwan. And so what we've seen over time is that the Taiwanese university education can gradually be valued, and students have to go further and further into it in order to get basic skills that they need out of the bachelor's degree program. So even with some of these things that we see, like these are wonderful programs like Coursera and MOOCs, Google, but even our local students, whether Mingchuan, which is a upper tier school in Taiwan, or NTU, they're just not ready for it yet. And so some of the support, and while I'm not trying to dissuade XU from taking that route, I think the question on the table is what support systems are in place to make sure that those students can handle that coursework. Because they really need the additional support that some of that in-person instruction offers that Coursera or MOOC isn't designed to provide. I've seen a lot of MOOCs just NTU just get canned because they're finding out people just can't handle the course material, whether they're outside of Taiwan, so they may not understand the teaching style, or inside of Taiwan, where they're just like, I don't really understand what's going on.
And this isn't just a Taiwan problem.
Right,
You see
this
things
is-
at
yeah.
U.S. universities as well. You see a lot of schools just they can't get what they need out of the MOOC that they could otherwise get.
I agree. Even when when you give them projects or internships, they go into these and they're completing projects that are not up to, say, an industry standard. And from my point of view, is they should be able to complete something to the basic level of what you want to see from an entry level employee. For instance, I came into Taiwan after going into strategic finance. I see a lot of teachers who can't tell me what CIM is, what the basic things to look for are. That's absolutely unacceptable. No one should be teaching business valuation or startups. You cannot tell me what CIM is, what to look for, or what. But researchers kind of recognize you just don't have that base level, and they're not yet. So there's definitely some of those gaps into that system. And the MOOC, a lot of the MOOCs at Coursera that I see assume that doesn't exist. So that's, I think, why they're so great for self-motivated learners. You brought up the point about Steve Jobs earlier. There's cases where sometimes people don't know what they want. of that is re-racking the expectations. Like some terms mean different things. So what are the outcomes? What are the specific learning outcomes that these students need to achieve before they're ready for the next level? I mean, it's one reason we see murderous, online exams for some of these top corporations that are looking for talent. They're not necessarily just looking for skills. They're just testing for a variety of things to make sure that people can hit this minimum target, whatever school that they come from.
Right.
Actually, turn that to a bit of a question. Is that from Taiwanese culture, if we're looking, if it's international, I think there's a lot of people, their target audience are Taiwanese kids. At the point of universities, and you taught teaching seniors, and you just said seniors are getting what the system is already pumped out. And I think anyone who's been in Taiwanese education, you realize that far before senior in college, it's already more.
Oh yeah, it's in high school.
So you just said it right now in high school. So I guess turning that into a little bit of a question is why university? Like why university, especially right last year, they just pushed a curriculum change of having high school students to have 2 independent studies.
Sure. Yeah.
So I guess I'm kind of curious as to the decision for university versus like earlier on, like high school or even middle school. Like elementary, I think is great, but a little bit early. Like I think Taiwan loves experimenting with elementary schools. There's a lot of experimental elementary schools, but not so much for middle school and high school. So I guess simple question: why university?
Right. 2 great points. But as a teacher, I recognize Camilla sitting there quietly thinking, where am I going to get my answers to the question? And she's been way too polite because she's been sitting in Taiwan education system for long enough. She went through Bingchuan for 4 years and then the master degree, now the PhD. So we've been conditioned to do exactly what you're doing right now, is to say nothing and then just wait and wait and wait.
Yes. Was like the status quo be teaching at one of these universities, right? And then I'll start teaching next semester. And then I was asking, okay, what's my class? Okay, you're going to be teaching reading. And I'm like, okay, this is an international college. They know how to read already. What am I supposed to be teaching them? And then I'm like, okay, I have 50 students. What's their background? Okay, you're going to have tourism, you're going to have IT, and you're going to have diplomacy. How do you teach a reading class to people that has completely different backgrounds?
Right.
And that they already are supposed to be able to understand English. That's why they're in an international college. And that's a required course in order for them to graduate. So I'm like, oh my God, what is this? What am I getting? I'm just supporting this terrible education system. Right? So that's where my question is coming from. Like, how are we solving this problem?
Okay, I will address, I'll try to answer the question, but I think your question is great. I'll get back to that as well. What we're trying to do now is we're going to hire people who don't have 20 years of college teaching experience in Taiwan. So, we can't afford their pension anyway. Yeah, David, I sent for you. And also because I want the student to make the most heavy lifting themselves, just like you mentioned earlier. I mean, yes, they need to expect to learn 4 to 6 hours beyond what they are doing in the classroom. So people who don't have the baggage, and they are not afraid to do that. And also by allowing to have a more international student, because right now in Yingchuan, even during your school, international students minority, right? In the class of 50, there's like 10, 15,
No,
30.
I would say it's 90%.
It was 90% of students.
International college.
Okay. Oh, in the international college, I thought you went to the, okay. So in the international college, 90% of the, so basically in that kind of situation, we need to foster a discussion mindset. We want to encourage people to ask questions and not be shy about it. I think it's very important to do that, and teachers have to set an example. Teachers have to be allowed to be fired down as a target, and willing to accept things go crazy just like 2 minutes ago, and then bring back to you. And that's what a good teacher should be able to do, that and have the confidence to control the whole situation, but not just like, oh yeah, we're going to do this. This is what the curriculum says. Let's just try to finish it as soon as possible. So that's what we're going to do. And then I will value your input greatly as we move forward with the planning process. So thank you so much for raising a very important question. Now, if I can go back here, I have done high school already. I set up a high school for Taipei City government in 2015, and it was the first experimental high school in Taipei. And I set it up. It's in Baozhangyan in Gongguan, and it's still there. And I quit last year after I done my part. I set it up from nothing. I admit 3 years of students from grade 10 to grade 12, and then I leave. So and I don't want to do high school again because for various reasons. One is that there's a university behind high school. So parents are very much, no matter what they tell you, whether how liberal, open-minded they are, they'll tell you they have open education, they all support this great idea. At the end of the day, they want to know whether the kids can go to university or not. So all the things we try, all the wonderful things we try to empower them, to enable them, to train them into a self-determined learner, blah, blah, blah. The parents said, show me the college entrance exam results. So I said, I'm not going to do it because, and you know, that's a thing. So if you go down, if you look at it in Taiwan right now, primary school is the best time to do experimental education. You see a flourish of big diverse of crazy stuff happening, like you mentioned earlier, or the example, wonderful things are happening in primary. For the next 6 years of hell, that nothing happens. Junior high school, senior high school, just everybody crammed for the exam. And then once they get to university, they are burned out. They are like, you know, I'm ready to retire. So show me the bar, and then you know, call me 4 years later. So that's basically what happens. And but there's a small group of students among homeschoolers, among the experimental schoolers. They really are looking forward to going to higher education, to you know, to pursue further study, to do something challenging. And we're targeting those people. We want to feel them like this is a place, you know, they don't feel awkward. Right now, if you are hardworking in the university and you ask too many questions, it's a very awkward experience. Like in the class of 60, it's very awkward. The students like, and then everybody else like, what is she going to shut up? And you're like, can we just get on with it? So I want those people to feel comfortable, to feel like, hey, you know, I belong here. This is the right thing to do, to ask hard questions. Yes.
On a grander strategy, from a bigger point of view, is given that, you know, what Tim said is parents are looking at higher education as the ultimate goal of education, from elementary, junior high, to high school. Because if you make a new goal, a goal that is actually a little more liberal, more progressive, or a different target, hopefully that will cause change down the line because you're shifting that target. To put it very, very
kind of going off that, because we mentioned, I think you were talking about the audience earlier, being before you mentioned that there's like kids who are going to be going to private universities in Taiwan, middle to lower income families. And then, but now you're also mentioning that the target audience are for homeschooled high school students, for example, who want more educational forward. These two are quite different groups, right? Because if you're coming from going to a private university that's middle lower income, their families are probably more traditional as well too. So, but homeschool very progressively in terms of their education. So how are you gonna balance these two? And I mean, even going back, you're saying high school, your ultimate goal is to go to university, but your university, your ultimate goal is jobs. And I get the whole thing with like corporate partnerships and everything, but it's just the two target audiences seem to be very conflict with each other.
Right. Excellent question. I will use 10 seconds to answer, and then I realize that there are other people who have questions as well. Remember I mentioned Taiwan government gave $2,300 US a year grant if you apply for homeschooling in Taiwan. As a result of that, right now we are seeing homeschool high schooler is the biggest segment of growth and also in terms of new applicants in homeschooling. So we are seeing people from all education background, all socioeconomic background, all socioeconomic background are applying for homeschool in high school, but they need somewhere to go afterwards. So that's where we are. So
I actually want to tag on that, but I don't know.
So you have
The credits.
Yeah, the credit.
Oh,
You still
wow,
credit.
thank you.
yeah, anyone who doesn't speak will get the first shot at CD.
I just want to tag on to what Tim has said. The reason is I'm a homeschool mom and my daughter is in high school right now, as well as I'm in the education field. And to target the homeschoolers currently is a great start. Okay, and I'm also serving under homeschooling committee review board in Taipei, so I have seen the increase in the homeschoolers in the high school area. They do come in different shapes and sizes, and a lot of them, I don't know, we have to do some study and research to see if it is true due to the subsidies, but it is the biggest increase in Taiwan right now. Right now, we have a huge gap between high school and college in terms of from a homeschooling perspective. We have no way, literally, unless we pass the entrance exam or fight like hell to get into one of the very special programs designed for, including homeschoolers who can apply to college. Those programs, the admission rate is so low that we only had 15 homeschoolers going to college using the special program in 2018. Okay. So from that perspective, these homeschoolers, they really need a way out. They want to further their education. The best choice for them is to get out of here. But really, like what we just talked about, from the social economic standpoint, not everybody can do that. So when I heard about this was like, oh my goodness, somebody's actually doing something in the higher ed. So I just kind of want to frame that and then sort of give it a background of how we can see the potential and then where this might take off for a lot of people.
So really, like you mentioned, because some of the themes that we've talked about today is bridges, right? Bridges between homeschool, bridges between traditional school. New style of education, older style of education. We're talking about failures to some systems and wanting to try something new. Did I get that right? So it seems to me that essentially what we're trying to set up here is a bridge, right? Provides some sort of vocational training to integrate to help integrate both worlds.
Well, I would imagine at the beginning would be a bridge, but not, later on it would be a full-blown, university offering, right?
So, yes.
Am I interpreting it correctly?
And so as a minimum viable product, right, why not consider something in the mold of Deep Springs College?
Questions to you.
So just the general idea of Deep Springs College, it's a two-year institution in California. It's kind of a bridge. It's kind of, they take no more than 30 students a year, and they kind of serve as a bridge for people who have some very non-traditional backgrounds or goals, and incorporates academics, self-governance, and service. So those are the three pillars of their two-year experience that they provide, with the goal of producing exceptional students to better serve humanity. And most of these students actually go on to four-year institutions. Some will get admitted to four-year institutions and just say, I'm taking 2 years off to go to Deep Springs College to figure out exactly what the heck I'm doing with myself. I learn a few things along the way and be able to not as aggressively design your own curriculum. I think what we're proposing with actually is much more forward-thinking in terms of that. But what it does is there's a clear reason for it to exist. It's outside of the competitive set of universities. That's something that everybody recognizes the need for.
Thank you. I'm sure Alice and I will look into that
And then one
great detail.
one of these things is there are a lot of high schoolers who already are very determined and then they know exactly what they want.
Yeah.
You know, there are a ton of homeschoolers are like that because I've seen so many applications are just that. They are very determined from the get-go. They know exactly what they want. By high school level, they are achieving things that a lot of college students can't do. So for something like this to exist, they can actually continue their education much faster. And actually they can, jump into the industry much quicker. So this is beyond just a bridge.
Right.
If I'm interpreting it correctly.
Okay.
I agree with you. I think it's one of the gaps of the Google certificate program is trying to address people who are ready to go. They need the skills. I think if you're extremely high level math genius out of high school, you don't need to go to college. The NSA will pick you right up.
Right.
I mean, there are unofficial programs other official programs that do that. But they're also highly structured and rigorous, which is where I'm.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. I want to invite people who hasn't speak yet, so please.
Yeah, question. I don't know how deep into the planning and
Right.
details you guys are,
Okay.
but for the graduation part,
Mhm.
the first one being a job that's hired. Do you guys have like frameworks or ideas of how you're going to judge that in like an objective manner?
Basically, it's more than what you could do before you come here. That's the direction. I don't want to set an absolute bar, like it has to be like at least make 40K a year or something.
I just
You can also look into Kelly, it's called the School for Designing a Society. They actually live very much in the structures, very much sound like what you have in
Okay.
homeschooling.
School for Design Society, right?
Yeah.
Alice is taking a note on that. Thank you. Anyone who hasn't speak yet?
My
So-
question for you guys
Thank you.
is, what do you need help with? What do you need us to do? What is your ask?
Right. Okay.
it was
It was there. Yeah. It was there.
Sorry. Yeah. But like, okay,
yes.
so find you guys.
Yeah.
Connect corporates.
Right. Corporate.
Find the students
Yeah.
who want to be in something like this.
Right, at this
Send them all.
stage, just give us your criticisms and comments and ideas and, what we can do and challenge our ideas. That would be great.
So we're
Yeah.
still in the building phase. of this.
Well, so basically, we need to do this by, before mid next year, we need to present our proposal to the government. And in it will be a very comprehensive plan on how the university will work, and include every aspect from what the curriculum look like, where it's located, and what are the courses, not necessarily who are the teachers in terms of name, but who are the teachers in terms of what kind of teacher you have, and so on and so forth, what are the graduation requirements, so on and so forth. So all that need to be spelled out in a very comprehensive document. So before that, we need everybody's input and give us suggestion either to support our idea, and then we'll put it in our proposal and say, we check with this dude, and he or she is very credible and knows what he's talking about, so it's going to work. Yeah, so that's the thing we need to do now, and also to connect places. We need a physical location to register. So, like I said, who's got and let us know. And those are the things that we need at the moment. Yeah. Okay. Time question. Anybody? No, we're open for second round. Second round. Oh, you heard that. Sorry.
Questions more. I mean,
Statement.
It's the same. I have proper vision, culture, and French, and I think what we've talked about makes a lot of sense now. I was a bit scared more on the is there a public for that? And then more I think about this, there's a politically since you talked. And I could have some input to help you guys about what's the culture in France, our vision, how I see this evolve, and how to market that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very important. And we've talked about people want to go to the best like or some schools that bring them to the best universities or the best job, not to have money to raise a family. But it's very cultural, right? My family, I mean, every family is different, but specifically in some cultures, not as important as in Chinese, I think, culture. I say Chinese in terms of like flower. We don't, my family doesn't care about me and my brothers having a good job that brings enough money. They care about us being like happy in our life. And there, it's not everybody, but there's a public for that. Right. So it's not because we go and say, hey, where are we going?
Happiness? What is this concept?
No, it's, you know, sometimes you get to say like things in a simple way to just like fully realize them. And we are not talking about the entire education system. We're creating like one university that will open its door to everybody, like welcome everybody on the planet. There are guys and ladies that things so say, hey, I'm not pursuing like something that will bring me to the best position for my curriculum activities. So yeah, I think now is not a good time to give you more input about how it goes in France, about homeschooling and the vision that we globally have. But I'm happy to connect with you later and to share this vision.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so right, sorry, you had your hands up a few times.
No, sorry. Second round.
Second round?
Fascinating.
Yeah.
I would like to pick up on some of the comments we had earlier, and I can clearly see young dedicated students having a clear idea of what they want, particularly if they have been grown up in an environment of supportive parents, etc. However, you might also find people who have not had that luxury. And I wonder if they are given the choice to join a university like this and have an open curriculum and they can plan. How do you envision to support them to actually instill an idea of self and to give them a voice of finding out what it is that they actually want? I know for myself, I grew up in a very progressive environment and still I have sometimes no idea what I want in my life. And I'm 46. It comes with the territory. Yes. Right? It comes. That's the price of liberty.
Yes.
And I need to take it. So for some who have no idea of what that means, and then be confronted with the initial fear of what that might actually lead me, choices this way or that way, giving them the confidence to make a decision for their lives and then to grow and then build the confidence. I think with the mentors, with the gurus, etc., with the support framework, but I think it also requires more than that, maybe even community involvement and the parents in some way. So I'm interested in how you would like to build a relationship with these systemic elements around it.
Excellent question. It's actually very dear to my heart, and I thank you for bringing it up. I do realize that they are the people who need it XU most probably are the ones who are afraid to apply. And those who are very well aware of what's happening, they have the choice of the world. They can go anywhere, and they'll be equally successful anywhere, no matter where they end up. Just by the fact that they have a very supportive family. I think the things that we can do is, other than the institutional structure we set up with a support group, parents is important. When I was running the experimental education, experimental high school in Taipei, we failed teaching the parents to enlighten them. So at the end, they still steer the kids back to the exam route. It was just hard. We try to empower the students. We try to tell them to stand up against their parents.
Very successful.
But it didn't work if there's a tuition required that parents just withdraw the kid from it. Yeah, so that didn't quite work. So a couple of things are working in our favor. There's a law in the parliament right now. It's going to move the legal age of Taiwan from 20 to 18 in 2023 or 2022. So basically means that anybody I think they can some sort of financial independence, they can really decide for themselves. And it doesn't solve the family pressure. It does not. It does not. Like you said, 40-something, they still be there. But at least that's a first step. At least they are legally working.
And then how about seeding to parents now, Tim? Like you could do some marketing workshops for parenting, whatever, progressive parenting. I think that's such a huge opportunity in Taiwan.
Right. I'm not worried about the progressive parents. I'm worried about what
Right. So targeting to the TA that are not the parents who don't see the light yet. What if you did some workshops from now before you launch to like do some?
It's a challenge. I don't have the answer. I have to say, it's a challenge. I don't have the answer. It's a huge challenge. I just give very quickly, 30 seconds. You go. I just don't get me started too long. Okay. I've seen in my 17 years of history working on experimental education. I've seen over and over again families who really need this kind of education choice. Are too afraid to choose it because of whatever happening around them, or a lot of it is self-conditioned. Just simply that they are not comfortable enough to deviate away from the mainstream, and that's the biggest challenge at the moment. And the only people I've seen successfully deviate away from it is usually the kids, so they can persuade the parents. So at the end, you still need to parent kids to persuade the parents to set on the right path. And I mean, maybe not the right path, but to set on a path. So I still believe in the future. I still believe in the children can influence their kids much better than we can as an outsider. And as there are fewer and fewer kids born in the family, I mean, parents nowadays value their kids' input a lot more, and part of it is that the information is moving so fast, and parents realize that they don't have all the latest knowledge of what's happening. So targeting the students, message that allow the parents to feel comfortable with, and I think that's where internationalism comes in, because short of getting a Taida or some brand university, or sorry, Tsinghua as well, and university graduate diploma, the other thing you can do is, hey, this is something that is international. This is this is a good international process. Yes, international students.
Just 2 seconds. I just wanted to add up because, like Karen said, we held a event this past week in Xinyi. Invited kids in Taiwan, right? Like all the people that attended our event are parents that don't even speak English.
Right.
So they are trying to look for these answers, and we're getting more clients, and the more is like they are open to solutions. They just don't know where to find them. And I think that's why you're seeing a huge boost in homeschooling, because parents are not happy with the current solutions. So that there is something bubbling. We just need to unlock that mindset.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it starts with what you said. If companies need to be enlightened, that's all the way at the top. Shouldn't it begin with the parents? Yeah. And the second question, like the mindset shift. I know that deschooling is very popular. Do students have a chance to deschool the system before they're joining? Sorry, it's a big one.
And I keep a big sigh because just being the homeschooling, being a mom, a home. But I think that the tradition, the culture really is holding the mainstream parents back still. And at this point, I think there is no clear answer how you can change that mindset in the next 5 years. It's improving, but I don't see how it can be we can reach the mainstream
Yeah.
in the next 5 years.
I think there's a lot to do with yes, telling them what it's like and explaining what self-directed learning is or this mindset shift. But how about taking what current homeschool students are doing and showing them like how this is happening and what those high schoolers are doing and
Giving them role
the
models.
experiences that they're having.
Well,
Yeah.
Again, me.
well, yeah. I mean, knowing is one thing, but doing is the other. So for a lot of parents, they know everything. I mean, they read some Jesus. I mean, I wrote a book. I went on TV doing an interview. I made a documentary made. I mean, what more do you want to know, right? I mean, yes, we all know that. But when it comes to doing it, like actually taking my kids out and go to this thing.
But look at how much homeschooling has grown because of you, Tim. I think that's easy to say maybe because you're just looking at the face of it. But when you look behind and you see the years, the trend, and that's because of all those seeds you planted. So.
I think it also requires some time. I mean, if you have successful case models, right, you have to communicate on a traditional parents level. Kid goes to college, goes out, gets a high income earning job. That's a case model, and they went through this path.
Yeah.
You have to think of a way of a traditional, Asian parent, what they're looking for. And if you can start saying, hey, this path actually works, this is work, then you can have a good marketing campaign. Then you start changing. It's actually, that's the end goal after that one,
I
right?
love the marketing.
Yeah, it's the marketing. In the end, it is the marketing.
Necessary.
Yeah,
It's
became a
very-
millionaire.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. I mean, we hear all these, these self-made billionaires who dropped out of college and everything, but even here in Taiwan, it's like, oh, that didn't happen in Taiwan, so it doesn't work here. But if you can create that model here, then maybe. I mean, it is a culture of, yes, exactly. Yeah. But then she's so unique that everybody's like, oh, she's too unique. She's not going
Yeah.
Her own way.
Exactly. She's not another kind of
She was
myself.
supported by her
Yes,
parents
exactly.
to do that.
Exactly.
They were enlightened enough. They
Exactly.
were educated.
Exactly. So we need more of these cases. But that requires time.
David, have you got some questions?
Oh, yes, please. Yes.
I'm curious now, to what extent does this initiative tie into the bigger government making Taiwan bilingual by 2030? And the reason why I'm asking this is twofold. Because firstly, I would be curious to understand to what extent can this project gain further institutional support from the authorities in light of the 2030 strategy. But then secondly, I'm also interested in understanding what is the place for either Mandarin or Taiwanese in this project. And this is firstly because instruction or mentorship carried out entirely in English can be essentially gatekeeping to a lot of very talented, very driven students that were homeschooled or otherwise educated in Taiwan who are looking for those alternatives. And secondly, I believe that by embracing bilingualism, this project would also have an edge over other international programs in Taiwan. And we are seeing initiatives in more traditional contexts like Nottingham in Bo, JHU in Nanjing, NYU Shanghai, opportunities for students to gain proficiency in Mandarin as a foreign language. So, yeah.
Definitely. We always have the bilingual nation initiative in the back of our minds as we're designing this. We've been pushing that initiative since its announcement. And we've been trying to advise, and there's a presidential election, so things are stagnant, and now it's kind of kicking back. President Tsai adopted it herself, made an announcement saying that this is something that we want to do. So yes, definitely, this is in the back of our mind, but first things first, we want to design a curriculum that fits our students first. And then of course, if we have government support, we do, but we want to see how we connect those dots, for sure. Sorry, did I answer all your questions? Yeah, I'm not sure if that second part was a question or.
And the second part was also a question. So I was just wondering, where would you find a place for Mandarin? In the framework. I don't want to say instruction, but just within the framework of XU.
Okay. The way I see it is that English will be a language of instruction, and Mandarin will be a working language for everything else. So if somebody who comes in and who doesn't speak Mandarin, we'll use our local partners. I don't know whether you guys will be branch out into teaching Mandarin or not, but we'll use our local partners and that'll be part of the courses when we sit down and discuss with them about what they want to do. Because every student will have a different level of Mandarin, but they all need to be at a level that they in English.
One of the things that is part of Crossroads, which we're kind of doing a lot of things, education being one of them, they all tie together in some way or another. So one of the things we are doing, which we need to do more regularly, which we put on pause, is an experimentation through a lot of activities. How do we do better bilingual? The current model of bilingual, if we ever go to events, is one person on stage, top-down structure, speaking in one language, then gets translated in another, gets dragged on, gets retiring, and people just get thrown off, or there's lack of connectivity. So one of the things we also have to do is, how do we do that better? How do we make it where people do feel, and it includes them? It's not just for foreigners, not just for local Taiwanese, but when they get there, how is this teaching method, or how is this discussion method much more interactive and less kind of like, oh, I said something and everything needs to be translated to that, and just it doesn't work well that way. So we are experimenting with different ways, and I think more like discussion groups. This is something dear to my heart, where people from different groups, and you can move from discussion topics to discussion topics, rather than one professor, everyone sitting at a desk and just listening to one person. I think that creates better interactivity, and everyone's trying to have common objectives. And that's how you kind of have, in that process of people trying to break down those barriers, lessons are learned, and experiences are gained. So we're going along that line.
I totally support that.
Awesome.
I was surprised they did support me. When the first class I did the traditional way,
Yes.
actually I got bored first, talking. I said, students, I ended on PPT stuff. In the second class, I talked to the person who's in charge. I said, can I just off the PPT, because I hate it. I hate it. I don't think anybody else should just suffer from it. And she said, well, let's try. So, and then the class yesterday was completely great. So I think I totally support it, and that you don't need to have this.
Yes.
And also breaking down the structure help to I forget, change the mindset. Yeah.
So,
hi.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. So we have our listener here who would like to share his thoughts and comments. And right, you can mute yourself now. Okay. Myself. Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm putting him on. Unmute. There we go. Oh, unmute. You have to unmute yourself. I can't unmute you.
Sorry, we're having.
You have to unmute yourself. Oh,
I got
there.
it. I got it.
Unmute.
Hi guys. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you. So, yep, I can hear you.
Hey, so students.
There we go. Okay, I'm putting him on.
Is there a way that
Unmute. There we go. Oh, unmute. You have to unmute yourself. I can't unmute you.
Yeah,
Everything is all on top of each other. Let me try to close it. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Cool.
Sorry. Do you want to type? Do you want to type some of the types? Or is that a little too long?
Yeah. Can you?
What time do you have to? What time is your?
Okay, you should be able to speak now. Let me turn the volume down.
I think discussion will take priority.
What?
Overall, if there's time, I think it would be.
Okay. Okay, you should be able to speak now. Let me turn the volume down.
Should I talk now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, it shouldn't be like this, but for some reason it is. And my apology. My apology. I can't get the feedback. Not too. Okay. You hear a lot of feedback. Yeah. It's just this room is very feedbackish. Sorry. It's quite loud over there. No worry, always. Okay. Yeah. So again, can you speak now? No. Okay. We'll have a discussion. Yeah. Okay. Right. So sorry about that. I'm gonna bring you offline again. Sorry. Back to the. Okay, back to us. There we go. So you guys know what we're looking at. Anything else? Anybody else would like to say something or?
It's also very challenging. Yes. But it's very
But yeah, it is on
Yeah, I think so.
Are we
I think
is there anybody else with kind of burning questions that will plague you if your dreams if you don't ask them? Yeah. Yeah, everybody kind of have a good, I think we can kind of wrap this up to propose that if there's going to be a networking session, just for everybody to kind of get to know each other. I think there's a lot of awesome talent in this room right now. So it'd be kind of cool to have some time before. If anybody, we are working with Taipei County government. One of the things that we are doing with Crossroads is how do we spread our resources and talent, not just let it consolidate in Taipei, New Taipei, but how do we work to also, there's a lot of defang efforts going on. And how do we insert an international element into these explorations? So one stop, which we have a base with, is the Taipei County government. They very, very nicely told us that this is like a newly published book that they have, bilingual, written by a native English writer. And they're saying, hey, we're working with Taipei Art Office, we're working with the foreigner community, and we pass these around, let everybody know. We are in the midst of also planning a exploratory trip in March or April. Yay. We're looking at spring. And we are tackling the different industries there. Yeah, education will be one of the fields. So we are going to be seeing how we can, get to know Taipei, and how do we not just have a one trip, but how do we establish avenues of collaboration and kind of resource sharing? Because Taipei is beautiful. My gosh, I wish I lived there. But overall, they do also want to see how we can also spread the love and our resources down there to help their industries. We also have other regions in our targets. So yeah, if you pre-book for you guys to take a browse and get to know.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's great if you have
yes.
thunder.
Yes.
We have a book too, but the. Good job on the book. That was it.
Oh yeah, everything's.
Okay, so we're signing off now. Bye for those who are watching live stream. Thank you. There's still
Bye.
5
We will
people.
talk. Yeah, please. Did you leave already?
He's still online.
But we will talk on a private discussion.
Right.
Yeah.
Next time we'll try to make the distance setup much better than this. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is.